Hello, my name is Ilya Khadadyan, and today I am going to present the style, voice, and tone for Maze Runner: The Fever Code. Let's start with the style. James Dashner's style truly creates a great piece of writing. Dashner utilizes a few uses tones to make an intriguing plot. For example, Dashner states the lightless elevator swayed back and forth as it ascended, turning the boy's stomach sour with nausea. A smell like burnt oil invaded his senses, making him feel worse. The combination of Dashner's imagination, tone, voice, and terms creates a very interesting writing style. Voice. The author, James Dashner, uses different combinations of events and feelings to create the most vivid detail for the readers of this book. The patterns and transitions are so good that you might forget about how long you've been reading. The voice is very clear, formal, and deep. The way he uses the words make you think way harder than you usually do. James Dashner also utilizes terms that are quite unique. One of the quotes to resemble all of these stuff is his life was one of the immeasurable boredom. His scant free time filled with old vids and books, a lot of books. That was the one thing allowed him to pursue freely. The huge collection to which they allowed him access was the lifeline that probably saved him from insanity. Now we are going to look at examples of the author's voice and my perception on them. So the first one, Thomas had been high on anticipation but couldn't imagine what to expect, and what he saw before him almost made his heart stop from the sheer shock of it. The open door had created a conduit for air escaping the vast open space before him. He stood frozen, the breeze washing over him as he took it all in. So you can see that it includes unique terms that aren't usually not used when people are having a conversation. It also contains quite a lot of great sensory details, and obviously it has a great word choice. And you can also see that the combination of the events and the feelings, which is exactly what I was talking about the previous slide. Okay, so now let's talk about the second description. Minho continued to struggle and scream. He managed to move his chair, sliding it back until he hit the wall farthest from the griever. On the left side of the screen, something flashed into view, a blob with spikes dragging it along the ground. Right before it ran into Minho, it stopped. The metal spikes receded right into its skin, and the creature flattened out. So you can see that it's using, obviously, again, it's using unique terms. There's quite a lot of sensory detail. And here he also uses very complicated words. However, they are comprehensible for the young audience. And obviously, it's a suspenseful scene filled with James Dashner's imaginations, which again is what we talked about in the previous slide. Now moving to our final description. Thomas shielded his eyes and looked toward the city. It appeared to be several miles away. Dirt and rust and shattered glass made up half of it. Ruined skyscrapers for the sky like broken fingers. It was hard to believe anyone could live there, even cranks. Beyond the devastated city, mountains rose. Here, well, there's not a lot of things to talk about. However, there still is some things to mention, which is that it is using a unique term again, and it's also using a lot of sensory details, especially with sight. And you can also see that you can see that there's a combination of occurring events and feelings here too. So now that we've talked about the voice and the style, why don't we talk about the tone? So in this slide, we're only going to talk about the main tone. And the general tone of the story is curiosity, in my opinion. The reason being that this book is about answering all the questions the readers might have had the last four books. And obviously, the author, James Dashner, is quite good at making you wonder. The Maze Runner trilogy has had so many plot twists that it makes you wonder deeply about what will happen next. So, a description here that I used is, "Thomas, come with me," the man said. Stefan, my name is Stefan." So, our main character for three of the last four books, name isn't Thomas, actually. It's actually Stefan, and his name was changed to Thomas, but he doesn't remember it because his memory was removed. Which is why I am saying that there are so many plot twists in this story. Moving on, we're going to talk about the other tones. So based on the previous slide, we know that the general tone of the story is curiosity. However, there's more than one in every story. The first one is gullible. And this is the description. "If only he could see Teresa one last time. His last words to her. See you tomorrow. They hurt so much. Yes, it was true. They would be reunited the next day, but their memories would be gone. He wouldn't even recognize her. Wicked had played them both to the very end. Unbearable anguish filled him." So we can see that Thomas has been betrayed, but the real readers who have been reading this book from a long time also feel betrayed because Thomas has worked so hard, and this is what he gets. So the second side tone I chose is wretched, and the description is, "Whatever he had expected, he never could have dreamed of what he saw next. It was impossible to tell its shape. The creature was wet and glistening, with patches of hair covering parts of its surface, but there was metal to flashes of steel appendages, and sharp discs protruding from the quivering mass. Thomas watched the hideous creature push itself over the lip of the container and crash down to the floor, revealing a sludge-like body about the size of a small cow." So I chose wretched here because these teens are living in times full of sorrow and despair. And they're also living a life of misery. Teens their age are doing things that are way different. They're not doing tests and all those and examining and all those things. They're having fun with each other, socializing and doing all that stuff. However, as I said, it's very sorrowful to see these teens suffering. The third and final tone is sentimental. Thomas felt as if he were a flower, wilting from lack of sun. He'd never felt such confusion, such emptiness. The world spun above him, and he grew ever emptier, his mind being sucked away, lost in the towering twister stealing what made him him. So this is the part where Thomas's memory gets removed, and basically any part that includes basically the character's deep feelings is sentimental in a way, which is why I included it in one of the other tones as section for this slide. So now that we've done the basic things, let's talk about the theory behind James Dashner's style. As I've said, based on the 5 novels I've read by James Dashner, I soon realized that the style is simple to follow yet very interesting to read. After looking through the slides, you can also notice that there are 4 things that must be there. The tone, which I've explained, the terms, the unique terms, which I've also explained, the voice, which has also been explained, and the imagination, which I'm going to talk about right now. So, one of the greatest things about James Dashner's writing style is his imagination. He is the best writer I know that creates many plot twists smoothly, which is basically, and when you put all these four together, it creates James Dashner's writing style. Thank you for listening and have a great day.